Hello, everybody. Hassan here, engineer, MBA, and investor. And in today's video, I want to talk about Bitcoin, the Bitcoin essay that was recently published on Bitcoin Magazine. I want to talk about all of this in this video. And before we even do that, I just want to maybe give a few comments. First of all, beautiful Saturday out there. Hopefully, you guys are having an amazing weekend. Last night, I went for sushi. So the whole sushi mafia vibe. I love sushi. I hope you guys love sushi as well. If you do, leave it in the comments below. I'm curious to see if you guys like any particular type of foods. And I also wanted to congratulate India's first athlete to ever win an Olympics gold medal for 100 plus years. That was just an amazing victory. Just look at this javelin thrown. This is quite amazing. Yeah, that was really amazing. Extremely inspiring. It's congratulations to all Indians, even Pakistanis, like the whole country there. That is so amazing for India. That is so amazing for the Olympics. This is so great. I think this is the new generation we're entering into. I mean, the world is becoming connected, globalized. I really wanted to congratulate India there for winning their first gold medal ever in the Olympics. That is extremely, extremely inspiring and motivating. So, congratulations to that athlete, and let's hope for many more. So now I want to go back to the video here, talk a little bit about the Bitcoin price. So I don't know if you guys caught that, but recent weeks the price had spiked up of Bitcoin, and obviously Bitcoin is the leader. Everything else follows Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes down, everything else goes down. If Bitcoin goes up, everything goes up. That is obviously related to all other cryptocurrencies. And look at Ethereum, look at Dogecoin, look at all these coins, right? Litecoin and so on. They have been all been pushed up couple of percent, still extremely down from their all-time highs. For example, Bitcoin is down. I don't know if you guys can catch that here from its all-time high ATH, 33%. Ethereum down almost 30%, Dogecoin almost 70%. So we're still far from the all-time highs. But again, in this channel, guys, like we preach long term, think about the long term, think about if the fundamentals have changed, think about why you started being involved in this space to begin with, and then you can hold that conviction for long term, right? Yeah, does it feel good that you're down 30, 40, 50% if you bought at the peak? Absolutely not. But long term, again, if you sell right now, you realize your losses and you've lost money. But if you hold and you hold for long term, you build your conviction, you stick with your conviction, with your plan, ultimately, I think you can be rewarded. Now, obviously, this is not financial advice. You guys have to do your own research. I really want to emphasize on that, guys. We do not provide financial advice, so please do your own research. So this article here, this was published, and Michael Saylor actually retweeted this article. Right, this is from Bitcoin Magazine. Amazing brand there. They cover all sorts of news about Bitcoin, specifically about Bitcoin. And the essay is titled "Why Bitcoin, Not Shitcoin." Why Bitcoin is not only the best investment of our time and the only good crypto, but the only moral, economic, and philosophical sound place to store your wealth. So this was published by Alexander Savetsky, and this was June 11, right? This is less than 2 months ago, basically. And basically, the essay really focuses on three angles, right? The economy, philosophy, and morals behind Bitcoin, and why Bitcoin is the only one that matters in the whole crypto world. And I think it's quite interesting. We will go over the essay a little bit. We'll go over, give my thoughts a little bit here and there. But obviously, I'll link the essay in the description below. I highly advise you guys to read it. I think it's an amazing essay. I think there's a lot of hidden gems there. I think this is what you need to do as an investor, as someone really involved in this space. You try to understand every side of the arguments, right? I know a lot of my viewers are very Bitcoin maximalists, and they only hold Bitcoin. But there's also another segment people that hold different types of coin, not just Bitcoin. Obviously, Bitcoin is a majority. It's just like Elon Musk a little bit, right? You hold Bitcoin, but you hold a little bit of Dogecoin, a little bit of Ethereum, and so on. And I don't think there's something wrong with it if this is your decision. But if you don't know what you're doing, then maybe this video is a perfect reminder as to why Bitcoin is the leader. And obviously, if you still after this video, if you still believe there's a space and time for other cryptocurrencies, then that's your decision. You have to take your own decisions ultimately. So let's take some codes here and let's see what we can make out of this. If you're a Bitcoiner, I hope this reminds you why you're here. If you're a no or multi-coiner, I hope this helps you along the path and also realize why Bitcoin are so adamant about this. Right? Let's take a look at the economic rationale. Right? Any okay, cool. It won't happen by the fiat decree, okay, of realization. It'll happen by an economy natural selection. That's why I like to call it economic Darwinism, right? The survivors of the fittest. That's what the whole Darwinism theory is all about in the late 19th century. Money is the cornerstone of all civilization, absolutely, right? So money has evolved. Obviously, it wasn't 100 years ago. We were not trading through Visa cards and through credit cards. Obviously, we were doing it through a different site type of medium. Even thousands of years ago, it was a lot more different than what it was 100 years ago. So things have evolved, things have changed. Just like you can see here, we went from you know precious metals, gold, to all the way to fiat currency, and now digital, and then obviously now Bitcoin, right? And really, the issue here is that as we evolve, fiat currency can't stand its way for the longest time. Just like how history told us, things evolve, things change. Maybe there's something else after Bitcoin. We don't know, right? But maybe Bitcoin stays for 1,000 years, and by then, I don't know if you want to bet your bet against 1,000 years technology. So 21 million supply, that's quite obvious there. There's only 21 that will ever be built no matter what happens. The source code is set so that no matter what happens, no matter what, even if there's a bug or whatever happens in the Bitcoin source code, there will be 21 million fixed, and this is limited. And right now we are mining about 900 a day, I believe, 900 a day. And this is going to go on till like 2100, something like 2120 or something like that, in the next 100 years. And it's going to reduce right through the halvings every 4 years. The 900 per day will reduce to 450, and then 450 divided by 2, that's the next 4 years. That's the whole halving. Bitcoin is the perfect money, right? Perfect store of value, because obviously it cannot be confiscated, it can't be altered, and there is a 21 million supply limited, so it can't be diluted, can't be altered, and can't be co-opted. It's the perfect medium of exchange, which means that you don't need a middleman, you don't need the Western Unions, you don't need banks to store it, you don't need banks to approve it, you don't need governments or any sort of entities to approve your transaction. You can do a peer-to-peer transaction. You can send your Bitcoin to your family, to your friends, to a merchant directly without needing someone in between, right? And it has almost no fees. In fact, almost no fees. Basically zero fees through the Lightning Network, through the second layer, which we've covered in this channel as well. But let's focus on just on Bitcoin, the first layer, just Bitcoin for a second. Perfect unit of account, right? It can measure all goods and services in satoshis, and the purchasing power grows. It's pure digital in nature. You can subdivide it, obviously satoshis. um, and the best money always wins, right? So this is a great graph, right? Compares the first column here with fiat currency, so US dollar, euros, Canadian dollars, and so on. Then you have another column for Bitcoin. Then you have another column for all the other cryptocurrencies, right? And really, the difference between Bitcoin and all other cryptocurrencies is really some cryptocurrencies are unlimited supply, like Dogecoin, like Ethereum, and then there's other factors as well. For example, unit of account, right? The Bitcoin is perfect while it not be measuring goods. In Bitcoin, right now, we know exactly how much there is, but because of the unlimited supply for some of the cryptocurrencies, because there's some shady things going on, and with some of the other cryptocurrencies, it's a little bit hard to really understand what's the unit account. It's hard to measure your units of good when you don't even know what the supply, you don't even know what they can do with the source code. There's a bunch of developer teams, and they're doing great work. By all means, they have great intentions. I don't think they're necessarily out there to scam people. Some of them, yes, but most of them, not really. When you talk about the likes of big projects like Ethereum, Litecoin, Dogecoin, and so on, I don't think necessarily think they're out there to trick people, scam people. But ultimately, guys, when you compare it with Bitcoin, when you compare what Bitcoin is trying to achieve, it's just rookie numbers. Bitcoin is way further than any of this, and we've talked about this many times in this channel. There's no surprise there. Um, yeah, obviously the US dollar, right? We know there's so much fiat printing, right? We know this. This is a fact. This is nothing new. Fiat money will continue to be printed, especially like what we saw with the pandemic. Countries want to print more money, hand it out to citizens, and devalue your hard-earned money. That's basically what's happening, right? Your $100 in the bank in 5 years, it's no longer really $100 of the same purchasing power 5 years ago, right? Uh, it's just human nature, right? If you have one piece of art, that's valuable. But if I multiply the same exact piece of art 10 times, it will be less valuable. I'm not saying it'll be 10 times less valuable. I'm just saying it'll be less valuable. It just makes sense, right? If you have more fiat currency printed, your purchasing power will decrease, right? There's more money under supply, and this basically fiat is unlimited, right? Central banks don't have to report to governments. They don't have to report to anybody. Yeah, they have to generate reports. They have to, set, why they're printing a set of money, and everything is recorded and documented. But ultimately, if they want to press that button and print more fiat money, whether that's US governments, euros, Canadian governments, it will be done. I mean, this is not anything new. What we know, this has been known for years, if not centuries, right? So, right, the network effect. So, this is actually really important. I think a lot of people forget that Bitcoin is a protocol, right? It's a first layer system. It doesn't make sense to compare Bitcoin with Visa credit cards in the fiat world. Credit card, those are multiple layers of complex layers on top of the whole fiat currency, right? And even then, there's multiple layers on top before Visa credit cards, right? And Bitcoin is the first layer system. It's a protocol, right? And for the first time in human history, we can invest in a protocol. We can be the early adopters in a protocol. You couldn't do that with HTTP. You couldn't do that with TCP in the networking world. You couldn't do that with energy in the transmission line early on. You could not have done that. The average citizen could not have invested in these early protocols early in the internet. Like, I don't mean internet companies. I mean the internet protocols, right? Cat5, Ethernet. Think about the protocols, right? Way before it gets adopted, right? And Bitcoin is literally the first protocol you could invest in. And that's amazing, right? That's amazing. And again, you have a second layer with the Lightning Network that really eases your transactions, almost instantaneous, no fees. That's the game. That's part of the game. You solve the big problem transaction. We reviewed Nassim Taleb's black paper, and he completely omitted the Lightning Network. He compared Bitcoin, the first layer system, with complex layers like wire transfers, like credit cards. Completely unfair. And I think a lot of media, a lot of legacy media, are doing this, and a lot of people that are trying to tackle the Bitcoin narrative, the Bitcoin story, are also doing this, right? So what makes it really powerful, guys, it's really the fact that it is a protocol. It will be the global standard. It will not be influence and directly, I mean, like, altered by the government or any entity. And I think that's the beauty of it, right? The Bitcoin, I think we are all participant. Bitcoin will do its job. It will do its work. The source code is running. There are miners mining Bitcoin. There are 900 miners being supplied every single 900 Bitcoin being supplied every single day. That number will be reduced to 450 in just about 3 years, a little bit under 3 years, because they're having, and that will go on, right? And people, we are all participants, whether you have, whether you're, a man, you're a female, you're a different ethnicity, does not matter, right? We are all participants. Does not matter if you're a boomer, if you're a young generation person. We are all participants of the network, and ultimately there is no leader, there is no entity. And I think that's the beauty of it, right? That's the beauty of the protocol. That's the beauty of P2P. That's the beauty of having no middleman. That's the beauty of giving power to citizens. It's really the freedom ticket to citizens. And I think that's the whole philosophy behind Bitcoin as well, right? It's the Austrian economics. A lot of people have been throwing this term out, right? The Austrian economics, where there is digital scarcity, there is autonomous consensus, there's digital immutability, no one can alter it. There is true decentralization, right? That means no one can control it. You can ban miners from China, but those miners will move elsewhere, just like we've seen, just like what's going on And if you want to attack Bitcoin on its energy FUD, just don't forget the Bitcoin is replacing many institutions, many mediums that they use enormous amount of energy that is never calculated, never talked about. All the personnel that you need to hold these skyline towers, the electricity that's running on those buildings, the real estate that it takes, the physical real estate that gold takes, the energy that gold takes to be mined, all the fiat currency printing, all the space required for offices, for governments, authorities, for central banks. This is all compared to Bitcoin. It makes no sense to me to pick out the Bitcoin narrative in terms of energy. I think that's just FUD. I think that's just legacy media doing its job. Censorship resistance. Obviously, if you don't have anybody to control it, you can't really censor it, right? So um, individuality, obviously, this, like I said, it is pure design for the individual, for the person, for the citizen, for the average citizen. Does not matter who you are, does not matter what you can do, what you've done in the past. You can own Bitcoin, you can transact with Bitcoin. You don't have to be approved by any credit loans, any credit company. You don't have to have any sort of background. Yes, there's KYC in these exchanges. This is in the developed world, right? But think about the less developed world, developing nations where they don't even have bank accounts, they don't have credit account. Bitcoin allows them to participate in that network, and there's no head snake to cut off. Obviously, no leader, no dictator, no government entity to control it, and that means that this is a complete um, decentralized, meaning people cannot people cannot rule it. People cannot be rulers of this network. It is just rules, right? Set of rules to follow. We are all participants. This is things that we keep talking about, and ultimately I think this essay does a really good job just talking about how it doesn't matter if you have heroes in the industry, the council mining. It does not matter what happens, right? Ultimately, this is just buying time. If they want to convince other institutions, suit and ties, to buy into it, and they have to do their own thing, to convince them that, hey, the whole ESG narrative with Bitcoin, then let them do, right? But ultimately, we are all participants. Ultimately, we are all participants of this beautiful protocol network that is changing the world. I think it's allowing for the first time ever to give freedom to citizens around the world, not just in developed nations, but in less developed nations. People without bank accounts, the 40 million, over 40 million Brazilians without credit accounts or credit accounts, bank accounts. The 80% of Mexicans that do not have bank accounts or credit cards or any sort of credit loans availability. You talk about El Salvador adopting Bitcoin for a reason. You talk about all these African regions that can participate for the first time ever in the global network, the global internet economy. It's fine to go have internet and be involved with Facebook and social media platform. I think that's an amazing start. That's where it starts. But ultimately, you need ways to interact with them financially to allow more engineers, more entrepreneurs, more artists, more scientists, more researchers on the network, on the internet, help each other out, from a Canadian all the way to Uganda, all the way to Congo, all the way to Australia, communicate from Tonga. Let people talk, communicate through social media platform, decentralization in terms of financial terms, where people can interact with each other's, not just through text, ASCII text, but also through the financial means, support each other's merchants, businesses. For the first time ever, Bitcoin has allowed this in 2009 when it came to the world. And to me, I think we are very early in the space. This article, this essay does a great job just talking about the efficiencies of what money should be in the upcoming future, where we are heading as the world develops and all people have smartphones. I was reading this I was listening to this podcast episode, and he talked about how many, less developed nations, developing nations, they skipped completely the PCs, the computer era, and they all have amazing smartphones, right? And in a sense where, they barely have money to pay for food, they barely have money to pay for rent. In many African regions, they all have the latest and greatest smartphones, right? Maybe not your iPhone 12s, but they have amazing Android phone. Obviously, they can connect to some sort of Wi-Fi, have some sort of LTE package, and boom, that's it. They're connected to the internet, and that's where the Bitcoin narrative gets stronger, right? Ultimately, Bitcoin, you can have a private wallet, a private address, and that's it, right? You store your Bitcoin, and that's it. You go forward, right? Or you can have, apps that, companies like Lightning, like Strike, they're promoting, their apps to different countries like El Salvador, and obviously they're trying to penetrate other nations like Tonga, and help citizens without bank accounts transact through their app, through the Lightning Network, where their fees are almost zero, basically zero. The only money they make, the company like Strike, they make it through the spread, right, for every transaction. Even then, we're talking about like 0 point something percent. So I think what's going on right now is a new evolution. This is where we are heading in our near future. We are heading in a sense where in the next upcoming decade, all citizens around the world will be able to participate in our economy through the Bitcoin network will allow participants to transact with each other, and this will drive innovation, this will drive entrepreneurship, this will drive creativity. And through the Lightning Network, for the first time ever, we'll be able to donate money directly to the hands of those citizens and interact with them directly, right? And again, this essay does a great job explaining, the fact that it is limited supply. There is no entity to control it, as opposed to other cryptocurrencies. I think this is amazing. I think this essay is amazing. It proves validity. It proves power. I highly advise you guys to read it. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this video. It's a little bit over 20 minutes. Did it obviously was not going to go through every single sentence of this essay. That's you to do, your job to do, your homework to do. I'll link that essay in the description below. Do read it. Do go over it when you have time. To me, this is a clear set. Again, there's only two ways, right? Either it goes to an infinite amount of dollars per Bitcoin, or it goes to zero. And to me, going to zero, what Talib expects in his black paper, completely disagree with that, because newer generations, they don't want to hold gold, they don't want to hold precious metals, they want digital Bitcoin, right? This is the driver, this is the next era, this is what we talk about when we talk about store value, when we talk about digital scarcity, when we talk about the convergence of network effect. It's extremely powerful. Adoption rates are going up. This is a beautiful era we are heading. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Please do like this video, guys. Again, like this video, smash that like button, destroy that like button. If you haven't subscribed, please do consider doing so. It really helps this channel. What we do in this channel, we cover not just Bitcoin, but other sort of emerging technologies, whether that's in the energy side of business, or that is in genomics, genome editing, where we are trying to eradicate all diseases, eliminate world hunger, and Bitcoin exactly helps us with all of the above. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you guys have a beautiful Saturday. Leave me a comments here what you guys are thinking about this video, what you guys are thinking about Bitcoin, where you guys are with your Bitcoin story, journey. Leave me in the comments below. Looking forward to hear from you guys. Really want to interact with you guys. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow on a beautiful Sunday. Thank you very much.